there a divine purpose for Israel in the final day judgments? Many would say no, because they believe that the church has replaced the chosen people. However, understanding the days of judgment is crucial because there are many similarities between the plagues of Egypt and the plagues recorded in the book of Revelation. It's as though we're being reminded of the events of the Exodus as we study the prophecies concerning things to come. The similarities cannot be coincidental. The parallels should cause us to ask, what's the connection? As strange as it may seem, the story about the Exodus will be front and center in the last days. Consider the people at the heart of the story, Israel. And once again, we're going to be front and center in the showdown between the Most High and the powers of darkness. Pharaoh can be likened to the stronghold of the beast system, refusing to let the people of Yah go. What did Pharaoh say to Moses? Who is your God? I don't know him, and I will not let Israel go. And things were set in motion to reveal the power of the Most High, and he proved to Pharaoh that he is not to be played with. Let's read this from Exodus 9:13 through 16. Then the Most High spoke to Moses, "Rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh and say to him, Thus says the Most High of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For at this time I will send all my plagues to your very heart, and on your servants, and on your people, that you may know that there is none like me in all the earth. Now if I had stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with pestilence, then you would have been cut off from the earth. But indeed for this purpose I have raised you up, that I may show my power in you, and that my name may be declared in all the earth." The plagues led to the deliverance of Israel from Egypt. The Most High made it known that he is the Almighty, and we're going to see his power poured out again in these last days. In addition, it will be shown that he has dealt justly with sin, even the sin of his chosen people, because judgment began at his house first. Everything that we've been through as a people is proof that the Most High is just. We have the scars to prove it. But his mercy endures forever. Psalm 30:5 says, "For his anger is but for a moment. His favor is for life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." So in this session, we're going to look at the connection between the Exodus and the events in the book of Revelation. You may be surprised to know that a lot of the plagues of Egypt parallel the trumpet and the bowl judgments of Revelation. And it's hard to call that a coincidence. So I want to read this from Exodus 15:1 through 7. It's the song of Moses, and they sang this song after he led the children of Israel out of Egypt. It says, "Then Moses and the children of Israel sang this song to the Most High and spoke, saying, I will sing to the Most High, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. The Most High is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation." So in this song, they are declaring that Yah is their salvation, and saying that he is my God and I will praise him, my Father's God and I will exalt him. And remember, God is a title. We're talking about the creator of all things here, who is ruler of everything. He says he's a man of war. We call him the Most High because there is no one higher. So verse 4 says, Pharaoh's chariots and his army he has cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. Some say Reed Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Most High, has become glorious in power. Your right hand, O Most High, has dashed the enemy in pieces. And in the greatness of your excellence, you have overthrown those who rose against you. You sent forth your wrath. It consumed them like stubble. He sent forth his wrath. Notice that the children of Israel were in Egypt, but they were protected from Yah's wrath. There was no rapture. He protected his people while this was happening. Now let's listen to these verses in Revelation 15:1 through 4. Then I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them the wrath of Yah is complete. So again we see plagues happening during a time of judgment, and it says the wrath of Yah is complete. Now the number 7 is used repeatedly in the book of Revelation to imply completeness. And just a note here that some observations are made that only 7 plagues are listed here compared to 10 plagues of Egypt. However, the distinction was made after the 3rd plague, that the wrath was being poured out on the Egyptians and not the children of Israel. Now you can just take that for what it's worth. But we're going to go on to verse 2 where it says, And I saw something like a sea of glass mingled with fire. So once again you see the sea represented here. Sea of glass mingled with fire, and those who have the victory over the beast, over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass. Having harps of Yah, they sing the song of Moses, the servant of Yah, and the song of the Lamb. So just some notes here. Is this symbolic of the sea that swallowed their enemies? They are singing, and notice that they are singing the songs of Moses. What a coincidence, right? But what was this song of Moses about? You're going to see that the song of Moses and the song being sung here are songs of deliverance. They're celebrating the victory that the Most High has given them, the victory that they were given over Pharaoh, the enemy of Yah and the enemy of Israel. So the song of Moses and the song of the Lamb would both be songs of victory. If you consider that the lamb had to be slain and the blood applied to the doorposts for the death angel to pass over them, we can see a spiritual foreshadowing here of Messiah's blood being applied to the doorpost of our hearts. So you see a lot of similarities. So it says, Great and marvelous are your works, Most High Almighty, just and true are your ways, O King of the saints. Who shall not fear you, O Most High, and glorify your name? For you alone are holy, for all nations shall come and worship before you, for your judgments have been manifested. So again, a lot of similarities here. Pharaoh had to bow and acknowledge the Most High. Here we see all nations will come and worship before him. Let's keep going. Listen to this from Revelation 18:1 through 8. After these things I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illuminated with his glory. And he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hated bird. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have become rich through the abundance of her luxury. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people. That's where we have to stop, because we know that Israel was in Egypt. And Hosea 11:1 says, When Israel was a child, I loved him and called him out of Egypt as my son. So now we see that Israel is once again being brought out of captivity. Only this time, the nation is scattered around the world. So this judgment is specific to Babylon, who serves as the leader of these other nations. So if they have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, then they're all a part of the same beast system. So it says, Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues. For her sins have reached to heaven, and Yah has remembered her iniquities. Render to her just as she rendered to you, and repay her double according to her works. In the cup which she has mix double for her. In the measure that she glorified herself and lived luxuriously. Can we think of a nation that would fit that role? In the same measure, give her torment and sorrow, for she says in her heart, I sit as queen and am no widow, and will not see sorrow. Therefore, her plagues will come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she will be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Most High who judges her. Again, this represents a system that reaches far and wide. Now we're going to see the direct connection to the children of Israel in these verses in Revelation 12:1 through 6. Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. So we see this is symbolic of a woman in labor. And once again, it's imagery of deliverance. The woman's crown, around her head, she has a garland of 12 stars representing Israel. So with her being in labor, it says that she's crying out in labor and in pain to give birth. So it represents the trials, the tribulations that she would face in giving birth. And then after she has done so, we know that the dragon wants to destroy her seed. But notice that she's crowned already. This garland is already around her head. This represents the power to reign that is already given to Israel. This honor was bestowed. The Most High did this for Israel to reign as kings and priests. So it says in verse 3, And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on his head. So you notice that the dragon has diadems on his 7 heads, which represent those who govern for him on earth. It says his tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. She bore a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to Yah and his throne. So we know this is representative of Messiah. Then the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by Yah, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. So the book of Revelation is the setting of the final battle. It's the culmination of the battle between good and evil, but this war began in Genesis. In Genesis 3:15, we have a declaration of war. In simplest terms, Satan was told that he would be overthrown by the seed of the woman, and he's been on a mission ever since to destroy her seed. So understanding what happened in the garden and the story about the Exodus will help you to understand the book of Revelation. We're looking at Revelation 12:7-11. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. And the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. So who's fighting against the dragon? Michael and his angels. They're fighting against the dragon and his angels. So you see power being matched to power. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So if you've read the book of Revelation, you know that it is showing you past, present, and future. It is to be read so that you will understand what is to come. There is a blessing on those who will read it. In Revelation 1, it says, "Blessed is he who reads and those who hear the words of this prophecy." So you will read about things that happened already and things coming. Let's keep going. Verse 10, "And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our Most High, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before the Most High day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death." So yes, many will be martyrs. Why? Because the decision has to be made that if you are being forced to accept the mark, the image, or name of the beast, you will choose to leave here and not sell your soul. And this is a decision you have to be prepared to make. So continuing on with Revelation 21-3, "Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. He laid hold of the dragon, that serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal on him, so that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years were finished. But after these things he must be released for a little while." Well, we know that deception is going on right now, right? Let's keep going. We're looking at Revelation 24-6. "And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was committed to them. Then I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for their witness to Yeshua and for the word of Yah, who had not worshipped the beast or his image, and had not received his mark on their foreheads or on their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years, but the rest of the dead did not live again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he who has part in the first resurrection. Over such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of Yah and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So who are called to be priests and kings? This assignment was given to Israel. So we see that there is purpose for Israel in the days of the final judgment. There is going to be a final judgment, and the Most High is going to hold man accountable for sin. The good news is that he sent a Redeemer. Now, what we see happening in Revelation, some of this was also shown to Daniel. Let's look at this from Daniel 7:7-10. And after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking in pieces, and trampling the residue with its feet. It was different from all the other beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up among them, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. I watched till thrones were put in place, and the Ancient of Days was seated. His garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. Now, there are many who will argue here to say this is talking about his hair being of a white color, like wool. But if it was talking about the color, it would have used similar language to the previous statement, which said the garment was white as snow. No, the hair was pure like wool. It's talking about the texture of the hair. And we know that only certain people have woolly hair. Let's keep going. His throne was a fiery flame, its wheels a burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. 1,000 thousands ministered to him. Did you hear that? 1,000 thousands with an S on the end ministered to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were open. So you see that this is like a setting for a courtroom where the judge presides and evidence is being presented. All of us would be guilty before the Father. There is none without sin. All of us needed a covering. Messiah is now our perpetual covering, so that bulls and goats won't have to be slain. But if he is rejected, how then do you atone for sin? You have to rely on your own righteousness. And Scripture says our righteousness is like filthy rags. What is Yah's plan? Believe and receive the sacrifice that has been made. What other defense will you have when those books are opened? Let's continue with this vision that Daniel was given. This is Daniel 7:11-14. I watched then because of the sound of the pompous words which the horn was speaking. I watched till the beast was slain and its body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As for the rest of the beasts, so again, there's more than one. They had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. So these beasts represent a system. Verse 13, I was watching in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. Then to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom the one which shall not be destroyed. So we see here that Daniel is referencing Messiah, one like the Son of Man. He's speaking about Messiah here. Now let's look at Daniel 7:21 through 27 so that you can see the interpretation that he was given. It says, I was watching, and the same horn was making war against the saints and prevailing against them until the Ancient of Days came, and a judgment was made in favor of the saints of the Most High, and the time came for the saints to possess the kingdom. So you will miss the significance of this passage if you don't understand that the saints being referenced here is talking about the nation of Israel. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it, and break it in pieces. What word comes to mind? Colonization. The 10 horns are 10 kings who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall rise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time and times and half a time. That has happened. But the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and destroy it forever. Then the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people, the saints of the Most High. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Speaking of Messiah here. So this is a fulfillment of all things for the nation of Israel. This is about deliverance, restoration, and dominion. Notice that it happens during the reign of the fourth beast. The beast that devours and tramples the whole earth. So Moses served as a deliverer in a physical sense when we were brought out of Egypt. We know that it was the power of the Most High, of course, being manifested through him to bring Israel out of captivity. For this one, the prophecy in Joel 3 will be fulfilled when Yeshua brings judgment on those nations that enslaved his people and took them into captivity. So hopefully you see how this is coming together. Let's go back to Revelation. We're looking at Revelation 27 through 10. Now, when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. They went up on the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city. We talked about this in the last session, that Gog Magog would come against us when we're living securely in our land because of greed. So be sure to listen to that if you have not already heard that session. But this is confirming the prophecy from the book of Ezekiel. Let's continue. It says, and fire came down from Yah out of heaven and devoured them. The devil who deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Then I saw a great white throne, and this is why most theologians call this the great white throne judgment, and him who sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before Yah, and books were open. Books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. So you see that these other books are separate and apart from what is called the book of life. And the dead were judged according to their works by the things which were written in the books. So things that are being done in this body while you're living on this earth, they're being recorded in the heavens. So you're going to be judged out of these books based on what you did. It says, the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Hades delivered up the dead who were in them, and they were judged, each one according to his works. So this anything goes, it's my life and I can do whatever I want. Just know that you will give an account for it. Then death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And anyone not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So listen to this from Revelation 11:18. The nations were angry, and your wrath has come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that you should reward your servants, the prophets and the saints, and those who fear your name, small and great, and should destroy those who destroy the earth. So we see that this is another time of judgment, where the Most High is going to punish those who destroy the earth. And folks are going to be judged. But we see him rewarding those who fear his name. Listen to what Peter said in 1 Peter 4:17. For the time has come for judgment to begin at the house of Yah. And if it begins with us first, what will be the end of those who do not obey the gospel of Yah? Messiah had already given them the warnings about the things to come. What would be the sign of the destruction of Jerusalem, the sign of his coming, and the sign of the end of the world? So Peter and the other apostles and disciples knew that judgment was going to come. He says the time has come for judgment to begin at the house of Yah. So what will be the end of those who will not obey the gospel? The gospel is the message that Messiah was sent to bring. It's Yah's plan of salvation and redemption. Messiah said, he who believes has eternal life. So in a nutshell, you're believing the word of Yah. We are to believe and obey his word. Messiah is the word made flesh. So Peter is asking the question, what is going to happen to those who do not obey the gospel or the word of the Most High? The do's and don'ts. We have to know what his ways are. What are his ways and his precepts? Let's see the confirmation here. This is John 5:22. For the Father judges no one, but has committed all judgment to the Son, that all should honor the Son just as they honor the Father. He who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. Why is judgment given to the Son? He's telling us that obedience to his word is paramount. Obedience is better than sacrifice. So judgment comes on those who fail to obey his word. Messiah represents the spoken word of the Father. So this last day or final judgment will punish all who fail to hear and obey truth. So at the beginning of this session, I asked the question, is there a divine purpose for Israel in the final days of judgment? Yes. He has purposed to save us from destruction and deliver us, just like he did when he brought our forefathers out of Egypt. He's going to do it again in a mighty way so that the nations of the earth will know that he did it. It was always our assignment to make him known to the other nations, and we failed the first time. But guess what? His gifts and callings are without repentance. We're going to have to take that test again, because we're not going to be passed on to the next grade. We were created to be his witnesses in the earth, and he has not changed his mind about that. Let's look at this from Ezekiel 20:33 through 44. As I live, says the Most High, surely with a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, and with fury poured out, I will rule over you. I will bring you out from the peoples and gather you out of the countries where you are scattered. With a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the peoples, and there I will plead my case with you face to face, just as I pleaded my case with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So I will plead my case with you, says the Most High. I will make you pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. I will purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me. I will bring them out of the country where they dwell, but they shall not enter the land of Israel. Then you will know that I am the Most High. As for you, O house of Israel, thus says the Most High, go, serve every one of you his idols, and hereafter, if you will not obey me but profane my holy name, no more with your gifts and your idols. For on my holy mountain, on the mountain height of Israel, says the Most High, there all the house of Israel, all of them in the land shall serve me. There I will accept them, and there I will require your offerings and the first fruits of your sacrifices, together with all your holy things. I will accept you as a sweet aroma when I bring you out from the peoples and gather you out of the countries where you have been scattered, and I will be hallowed in you before the Gentiles. Then you shall know that I am the Most High, when I bring you into the land of Israel, into the country for which I raised my hand in an oath to give to your fathers. And there you shall remember your ways and all your doings, with which you were defiled, and you shall loathe yourselves in your own sight because of all the evils that you have committed. Then you shall know that I am the Most High, when I have dealt with you for my name's sake. Not according to your wicked ways, nor according to your corrupt doings, O house of Israel, says the Most High. Do you see that the way that he deals with us is also proving to the other nations that he is just? He's not going to put up with mess from us just because we are his chosen people. In the Exodus story, there came a point when there was a clear distinction made between the Egyptians and the children of Israel. It will happen again. The nations will know that we belong to him, and they will see that he chastises his own. The trials and the times of tribulation were for our own good, and it also served as a witness to the other nations that he is a righteous judge. So the question that the disciples asked Messiah about the destruction of the temple, the sign of his coming, and the signs of the end of the world foretold what was going to happen to us. And all of those events will lead up to the final judgment. This great white throne judgment is judgment for unbelievers who will join Satan and his cohorts in the lake of fire. But just know that it's not the Father's will for man. Not for man to go to hell. He said hell was made for Satan and his angels, not for man. But he will let you go if that is your preference. The point is, there is no gray area. You obey him and keep his laws, his statutes, and his commandments, or you will have no part in his kingdom. You can see that from these verses, no rebels will be allowed in his kingdom. He said he will deal with us for his name's sake, and we've dishonored him enough. It's time to choose Yah's way and take our rightful place as kings and priests in his kingdom. So I hope that this series has been a blessing to you. Remember to hit the like, share it, and you're also welcome to subscribe if you have not already done so. Be blessed, family. Join me next time.